some people would feel like that's a pretty heavy role. I mean, it's Jesus.
Yeah.
Basis of the world's largest religion.
Yeah.
God himself, according to Christians. Did you ever feel that on you? Like, that's a lot.
In the first season, I did. There was this moment, especially, which I've kind of talked about at times, where, and I think it still sort of affects me. I actually like telling the story because it's a reminder for me to remember what it's all about and who I'm serving as I endeavor to portray this role. And so we were about midway through the first season, and the time came for me as Jesus to start preaching, full-on sermons. And we started filming. And then as I was going through these words, I suddenly, it's like I kind of felt I was outside of myself, listening to myself preach to a crowd outside the doors of in our story, Zebedee, James and John's father, Zebedee's house. And there was a crowd of people that was a growing crowd of onlookers, and our wonderful background actors that participate in the show, and many of whom have participated for years. This crowd starts growing outside the house as Jesus begins preaching, and the scene's not specifically about Jesus. It's about other stuff that's happening in the background that becomes the foreground of the story. And in the background, Jesus is preaching, but I still have to preach. I still have to say these lines from Scripture convincingly and try to mesmerize and galvanize the people that are listening to me and get their attention. And they seemed really attentive, so much so that it made me really self-aware.
Yeah.
And I thought, what am I saying? What are these words? Like, these are holy, holy words said by the holiest being that ever walked the face of the earth. I shouldn't be doing this. This feels wrong. And so I would have those feelings, and then, we would stop and then move on to the next setup and put the camera in a different place. And then as it went on, I just had to stop the production for a moment to talk to the director, to Dallas Jenkins. And I said, can we just slow down a second? And he said, what's going on? And so I took him aside. I said, listen, man, I'm having a hard time right now. Like, I was starting to feel panicked and overwhelmed. Almost like I've only had one panic attack in my life, and it started to feel like it was creeping into that, and I didn't know why or how. Well, I kind of knew. I thought I knew why, and what was going on. But I just said, hey, can we slow it down? And he said, what's going on? And I said, I'm saying these words, and hearing myself say them, I don't feel worthy to be saying them. This is why I tell this story, because it drives home the point of the gift that I've been given in playing this role. And he puts his hand on my shoulder and he says, brother, none of us are truly worthy. But here we are. I mean, it's you and me. Here we are. We're doing this so that the world may know his story. Those who haven't heard his story may know the impact that he's had on the world and on our lives personally. And I'm slightly paraphrasing because it's been many years since we shot that, but that was the essence, and it settled my spirit. And I thought, he's right. He's right. For whatever reason, God saw fit to put me in that role and not somebody else. Nobody else auditioned. There weren't auditions for the role. He had just called me up and said, do you want to do this again? And I said, yes, of course. I didn't hesitate. But then when we got to that moment, it started to dawn on me the weight of what it was that I was being given to do.